Welcome back to another episode of The Only Playbook. Episode 19, week 10 has kicked off. It is Friday, November 12th. I'm Sweetcard, got Shovit. What's going on, guys? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, bro.
Happy Friday. We made it, man. It was good.
IF, cheers to the weekend. More football on tap. Weird game last night. What's going on with that one?
Dude, I don't know, man. I was rooting for the Dolphins like I've never rooted for them before. And it felt good to actually have a team win that you root for a change. So that was nice.
Yeah, what's that like, right? But we'll talk more about that game. And nonetheless, it was a wild one. Appreciate you guys joining us. Again, it's Friday. We want to talk about week 10. Week 10's on tap. We're officially halfway through the season. Happened for this week. Thursday night football was last night. The Ravens were in Miami taking on the Dolphins. The Ravens were 8.5-point favorites coming into this game. We thought it was going to be another easy victory for the Ravens, but that was not what happened. The Dolphins came out and played some fucking amazing defense, won this game 22-10 final. They covered the 8.5-point dog spread, won the game outright. The under 47 hit. Dolphins are now 3-7. Ravens dropped to 6-3. Where the hell has this Dolphins defense been all year? And it finally freaking showed up the last couple of weeks.
I'm not too sure it's so much the Dolphins defense because I think it's more that people need to be aware that the Ravens offensive line is trash. Like they've been surviving so much, like they've been crawling. They barely beat the Lions because of a miracle. They're coming from behind like 3 games below. You know, in the fourth quarter, they were down by multiple points to multiple teams. And I think, it just didn't last. It's not sustainable the way they were winning. It's kudos to Lamar Jackson. He is probably, like before this game, he was consideration for MVP, at least halfway through the season because of all these come from behinds. But then you lose to a team that has 2 wins. Miami's good. Don't get me wrong. They won 2 games in a row, and I think it's slowly coming together. That's why I never thought they were the worst out of those 3 teams we always talk about, the Lions, Texans, and Miami. Miami does have that. They're a little bit better than the Lions, and then I think the Texans are a little bit worse than Miami. But I think we need to start realizing that the Ravens are not the best team in their division at all. Even like it's still the Steelers. I think as at the end of the season, the Steelers still have this like edge over the rest of the teams in that division. The Browns have a little bit of a success, ups and downs, and then the Bengals, I feel like they're still a little young. Maybe next year they'll come and be more powerful. But the Ravens, they're showing that their defense can't hold very many teams and their offensive line can't hold very many teams. So they're crawling back against mediocre teams and bad teams. So I don't know if they can beat the big teams. I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't fucking understand what was going on with the offensive play calling for the Ravens. So I saw a stat that Miami had 40 plays where they ran a cover 0, which means there is no safety. All the receivers or players are getting one-on-one and it's an all-out blitz. And they didn't have a back blocking. They didn't have a tight end to chip. Like they didn't run any inside crossing routes, which is how you beat a cover 0. And Lamar Jackson, clearly either he doesn't have the capability or they don't trust him enough, but he wasn't adjusting any pre-snap calls. Like every single play, if you're like a Rodgers or a Mahomes, you're probably audibling to get your receivers to run slants because if they're running an all-out blitz, you need something where your guy can beat them on a man-to-man, right? And every single replay where you'd see where Lamar had to throw the ball away quickly or like it was an incompletion, the receivers were running routes to which you'd be like, this was clearly a play that was called pre-snap before they saw that the entire team was going to blitz. But the Dolphins figured out that the Ravens were not adjusting for it and then just ran it the rest of the fucking game, which to me sounds like some Madden shit. Like what? That doesn't seem like that's acceptable. Like how did they not make adjustments? That was horrible.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's funny. Like Lamar Jackson is the person that needs to be like seeing that and being able to like call the adjustments, and him not doing that kind of puts him a little bit lower on the scale of greatness for quarterbacks for me, because I feel like a good quarterback should be able to read the defense and then understand, like you said, make Mark Andrews go in. There's a middle of the field is wide open if they're playing cover 0, like you said, 40 times. So change the snap, change the play on the snap before the snap so that you can maximize the chances of you catching the ball. And you saw him trying to throw it deep. I think it was the 3rd or 4th quarter, but then at that point he was just kind of forcing it. He threw it to, I believe it was Bateman and Brown too, tried to throw it deep to them. And at that point, just nothing was kind of working for them. But credits to this Miami team, man. They had a plan, they executed, and then on offense, they were doing weird things. Like
Yeah.
the flea flicker.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
We flicked
Yeah.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, through the flea flicker dump off back to Gaskin again. That
Yeah,
was
they're
that
playing
was
catch.
very, very innovative.
I don't think that was planned. I don't think it was a planned play. I think Tua just saw that he was open. I think he saw Gaskin was more open than expected, and he just gave it to him. I don't know.
It seemed like very like a basketballist play. Like
Yeah.
whenever like people are in the 3-point lane, they're like, no, you shoot it. So that was cool. And then in the fourth quarter when Miami has the ball to seal the game, the motion that comes in from Ahmed, I believe to the left-hand side, it looked like an arena football play where he just kind of runs all the way to the left, and then he's already got that momentum. So the defense, he just kind of slips through the safety's eyes, and he gets the ball 20 yards down for the first down to steal the game. It was plays like that Dolphins ran and just kind of executed and allowed them to win the game.
Yeah, they played such good football. It seemed like they didn't have like a certain play style they were coming into the game with. They just kind of went with the flow of the game and adapted to the situation, which a lot of teams don't do that. Like Vikings with a great offense, we don't do that. We come with the same offense every single time. And it's nice to see that, there's blueprints to beat good teams when you're just so open to be malleable throughout the game rather than just stick with your stupid ideas.
Scripted bullshit.
Prescripted stuff is just it's not gonna work. You're not gonna go very far with that.
And so, Shovit, to your point, one last thing is we have to try to understand, is this Lamar Jackson not being smart enough to read that, which anybody like 10-year-old should be able to read, that there's like all these guys at the line, right? Like you're seeing what's happening in front of you. I just wonder, I know some quarterbacks, some teams, and I almost feel like the Vikings have it too, they limit what their quarterback can do pre-snap. Like Peyton Manning obviously is like the number one example of a guy who literally will change the entire play before the snap, right? Because he wants to see everything. That's smart. Obviously you should do that. So because if you notice something, obviously adjust to it. But the Dolphins weren't doing anything crazy. They ran the same cover zero so many times in a row. And for the Ravens to literally not a single time try to figure out how to stop it or do anything different, it was like watching an offense try to do the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, but it wasn't there. And so just really, really frustrating to watch, especially from an NFL team. But yeah, if it's Lamar Jackson just not adjusting, then shit, that's a big red flag. But if it's the fact that they haven't taken the reins off of Lamar completely to trust him to make those pre-snap reads, then that's a big wake-up call for the Ravens. So nonetheless, a couple of things to note. Mark Andrews had the one touchdown on the Ravens side, the pass from Lamar, so he had a decent fantasy day. I've really liked Rashad Bateman, what I've seen so far, and it also helps that every week I like Hollywood Brown less because he just keeps dropping important passes and he keeps getting a shit ton of targets that amount to nothing, and it's just like, dude, you're a waste of space. And if those targets go to Bateman and Andrews, like Bateman's 6 for 80 on 8 targets. And he looked good. And so if he gets 10 targets or something like that, he's automatically, to me, fantasy viable. And then obviously on the other side to note, Albert Wilson had a randomly weird day. He seems he's always kind of had that speed and shown flashes. But the
speed, dude, he couldn't even beat out that guy when he had that wide open lane. I was so frustrated with that.
He has like more lateral straight speed. He clearly didn't have the ability to juke that guy.
You got to do the Jordy Nelson there. You got to do the Jordy Nelson.
And then the one thing was Mike Gesicki, man. How the hell are you the third tight end? You have 7 targets and you have a big goose egg to show for your Thursday night performance. 0 catches, 0 yards for Mike Gesicki. So
how many targets did he have? I don't even remember seeing.
7 targets.
7 targets. Wow.
He led the team in targets, had no catches.
That's just sad at that point.
Yeah. So nonetheless, the Dolphins take care of business on Thursday night, move to a surprising 3-7. They get another winnable game, traveling to New York to take on the Jets next week. The Ravens are going to be traveling to Chicago to take on the Bears. So Ravens look to bounce back after dropping one to the Dolphins. Let's jump into the games on Sunday. Obviously, there's 10, 11 games we want to preview. We'll highlight everything that we think is relative and relevant. First game on the board is going to be the game here in town. The Cowboys are home. They're hosting the Falcons this week, coming in at 9-point favorites, over under sitting at 55. Cowboys looking to bounce back after that, I guess, unexpected loss to the Broncos, where they kind of laid a dud and only scored a bunch of garbage points. And then the Falcons had that surprising victory against the Saints. So Falcons with the win can move one game above 500. Cowboys looking to go 7-2 and maybe try to lock up one of the bye week spots. So What do you guys like in this game?
Yeah, last week was a game of like a week of just bunch of upsets, and you know, carrying that over to this week, I don't think that the Cowboys will have that kind of upset, like lose like that against the Falcons. Falcons, although, are a pretty decent team. Outside of the Eagles and outside of the Buccaneers in week 1 and week 2, they haven't lost by more than 8 points in a game. And the thing about that is the spread is 9 points. It's my Cowboys favoring 9. So I expect the Falcons to keep this game competitive. I fully expect the Cowboys to bounce back. I think Gallup is coming back as well. That should give them some options. So Cowboys should win this game. The Falcons keep it close, and that 9-point spread seems a little too high for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. More stats to back up what Shovit said. Cowboys haven't lost at home back-to-back since 2017. That's a long time. And Cowboys average 34 points per game at home. And the Falcons away points per game is 24. So, history-wise, this year's statistic-wise, this looks like it's going to be a Cowboys win. But yeah, that spread, the Falcons are a force to be reckoned with, only because of how confusing that offense is. You can't really have a game plan for that offense because you don't know if Cordell Patterson's going to go deep on one play. You don't know if he's going to do a screen pass on the backfield. So, teams are very limited in how to come into the Falcons games. And I think that gives them an edge just to stay in games. But I still think the Cowboys have a better overall team to win this game.
Yeah, I know I said this early on, and then the Cowboys kind of proved me wrong, but I felt like every year we expect the Cowboys to have like a really shitty loss where you're like, okay, are they not for real now all of a sudden? Like, they should have came out and dominated that. And that was last week. I didn't expect the Cowboys to lose to the Broncos. And so now I'm having really, really weird doubts in the back of my head where like, are these Cowboys resorting back to Dallas Cowboys where, on paper, everything was fine. Like that, it was like, I don't think we can blame Dak's injury last week. Like he was already pretty much almost 100% the week before and could have played. Right. So I feel like at that point he was 100%. There was really no limitations to the offense. Nothing glaring on the defense. It was just a bad game. And so we hadn't seen that. The Cowboys offense was unstoppable up until that point. Their defense was making all the right plays, pushing all the right buttons. And we finally got a glimpse of like, wow, the Cowboys are human and not more than human. I mean, they were down 30-0 at one point, right?
Yeah,
to a Broncos team.
Quarter points. They only
So I don't know. You're right. The Falcons 9 points. That seems like a big number. I think the Falcons have the capability to keep this close. I don't want to have to start doubting the Cowboys. They're at home. You're right. I expect them to bounce back. The playmaking weapons are too. There's too many on the Cowboys for them to lay another dud. So I think they're going to win. But I'm with you. I also like the Falcons with the 9 points. So yeah, again, I think that'll be interesting. I expect the Cowboys to bounce back. They don't want to give teams chances to stay in. I mean, the NFC East has been that year in and year out, right? Where the gap between the worst team and the best team is always really, really small. And we were like, oh, Cowboys are getting off to a hot start. Are they going to run away with it? And then next thing you know, they lose a couple of games and it gets mushed right back.
It's November, it's December, January, and
exactly. They're just mushed right back to mediocrity. Right. So the Cowboys need to establish themselves as the best team in that division, and it's got to be with racking wins against teams like the Falcons. So we'll see. The next game on the board is the Saints. The Saints are traveling to Tennessee. The Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans that have been so incredibly fun to watch. It doesn't get any easier for them. The Tennessee Titans taking on the Saints here. Saints have a good defense. Titans are favored finally. They're finally getting the respect they deserve. I think for 4 or 5 wins in a row, they were dogs and they were pulling out underdog victories, but at home, they're actually getting the home field advantage with the 3-point favorite. Over under at 44. So I don't know. What do you guys see in this game?
I want to say, I mean, I'm probably going to be so wrong, but I feel like the Titans are going to beat the crap out of the Saints. That rarely happens. Saints don't get like beat up very rarely. Sean Payton's really good at that. But with no Alvin Kamara, with no starting quarterback, with Simeon starting, with no receivers to scare me, it's just defense. How long is this defense going to win you games? Yeah, like defense can hold other teams while your offense scores, but I don't see this team scoring very many points. Like 17 points at the most? Like, in Titans defense, yeah, it started off really sketchy at the beginning of the year, but they got some playmakers and they're taking advantage of turnovers. And I would not want to be a Saints fan this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, the Titans have been playing like true Titans, especially on that defense side. They've beat teams with really good quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, Carson Wentz, and Patrick Mahomes. And now they're playing Trevor Simeon, who had a decent game last week, but to expect a back-to-back good game from Trevor Simeon is with no Alvin Kamara and that receiving core, which we're like, what is that? What are those receivers anyways?
Can we agree that that's the worst receiving core in football, or is there?
Yeah, I can't think of a worse receiving core right now. They have nobody.
I want to say Jaguars, but I think
Even
Marvin Jones.
Yeah, Marvin
DJ
Jones.
Chark is out.
Marvin Jones has proved more worthy than any of the receivers on the Saints.
Yeah, I'm not starting any Saints receivers. I liked Callaway in the beginning of the season, and then I think there was 1 week that he had a solid game with a touchdown. But outside of that, no, I don't like any of the Saints. But the Saints defense also last week, I think they allowed 30 plus points to the to Falcons. So it's a little bit sus there. Was it 27. But a team that has a strong defense, you'd expect them to kind of not allow that many points. But as far as matchups goes, AJ Brown versus Lattimore this week. So that's going to be interesting to see. So I think the Titans do come out on top and win this game. I don't see anything that the Saints can do to stop.
Yeah, the more we talk about it, 3 points seems like pretty small. I forgot Kamara's out now, and he's the Saints' entire offense at this point. I mean, we're really relying on Trevor Simeon and Mark Ingram and Marquez Callaway and Devonta Harris Harris and Traquan Smith to cover 3 point. Like, I don't know, man. Titans -3 seems kind of like a steal.
Yeah, but here's the news. Today, Ryan Tannehill was hobbled. I think he missed the first part of practice. So I don't know what the injury is or whatever. It wasn't significant enough to for it to be all over my normal places I get the injury stuff from. But yeah, I mean it's of note. It's of note. Whenever you have a backup quarterback coming in and you're facing Lattimore, AJ Brown's probably going to get shut down. It's a possibility AJ Brown doesn't do anything this game. And Julio Jones questionable. We might be looking at two very similar teams going at it. No Alvin Kamara, no starting. It might be Adrian Peterson day. Who knows?
Best run defense.
Yeah. It's just a very, very weird game with no, if you eliminate AJ Brown from this conversation, which could happen with Lattimore, it's just a bunch of shitty wide receivers, shitty running backs, and just it's a weird game.
Yeah,
and I feel like the Titans take benefit of these weird games.
Yeah, they've been on the good end of pulling off all of these wins in close matchups against tough teams recently. So could be another victory for them. I mean, shit, if they go to 8-2 and their track record of victories is like the Saints and the Bills, the Chiefs. I mean, dude, the Titans are for fucking real.
Yeah,
and then
they're playing the playoffs. They're in the playoffs right now.
That's what I'm saying. And then at that point, if you're getting imagine you get Derrick Henry back in the playoffs.
Yeah, they can very well get him back.
All of a sudden they're scary as shit. Riaz is probably just horny as hell. This is the best the Titans have ever looked for Riaz, I'm sure. So the Titans are 7-2, so a chance to go 8-2 at home against the Saints there. That'll be fun to watch. Next game on the board, the Jags. The Jags are 2-6, coming off a big upset victory over the Bills. They're traveling to Indianapolis to take on the Colts this week. Colts get 10.5 points against the Jags, so not a lot of respect to Jacksonville there. Over-under is 48. Colts are at home. They're 4-5, looking to go 500. Jags coming off a big victory. I mean, it's I don't know. It's like a classic letdown spot. The Jags aren't good. They just won probably the biggest game of the year. Do we expect them to replicate that and beat the Colts?
Yeah, I think it's funny because, the Vegas looks at this and sees the Jags won last week and it's like, that's cute. 10.5 points.
Yeah. They're like, we don't give a shit.
Yeah, we don't give a shit.
I also don't give a shit. I feel like the Bills have a lot more sus holes than the Colts do. Colts might be a worse team overall. Bills have a lot of ceiling, right? They could explode, but they also have Josh Allen, who is the same way. He can either explode or he can throw balls to the ground and expect to play fucking shortstop. I don't know. He's not the guy. I love Josh Allen for many reasons, for fantasy purposes and whatnot, but if I were to do a redraft right now with my guy for my team, Josh Allen would go 4th. I have 3 other guys I would probably pick over Josh Allen. And those things were the things that the Jaguars exploited. And, and the Colts have way more stability on that team. They run the ball really well. It's not just Jonathan Taylor. Let's get that clear too. They create holes for the running backs. Hines can run for 40-yard touchdowns. if you look at the highlights of these Jonathan Taylor runs, he's the benefactor of those holes that open up, and then he's just so fast nobody can catch him. But the holes are not. He's not creating those holes. The linemen are creating those holes, and they're really good at that. So when you can run that easily and you have weapons that are developing like Pittman and T.Y. Hilton's back and the running backs catch balls, probably one of the best running back ball catching crew they have. And the defense is starting to wake up. Darius Leonard and the rest of the linebackers, they're playing really good. They're creating turnovers. Their cornerbacks are still a little sus, but that is probably their weakest point. And outside of that, they're playing very well-rounded football versus the Bills. They have everything on paper. They have a good defense, everything, but their offense has those moments. They have 3 losses now, right? I mean, that's not like me and Shovit, we called them our number 1 team before the season started. The number 1 team at this point should not have 3 losses, and one of them including the Jaguars. So yeah, I think the Colts are much more of a scarier opponent than the Bills. I can't believe I'm saying that, but they're more of a well-rounded team, and I don't think the Jaguars can beat well-rounded teams as of now. I think they can exploit teams that have holes, but the Chiefs are much more of a unit than I think the Bills are.
Yeah, it's a great point because we talked about the reason the Bills couldn't get into the flow of the game last week against the Jaguars is because they were just so throw heavy. And so if your quarterback's having an off game, you have no running game to help offset that, to bring some flow to the game. But the Colts have Jonathan Taylor. The Colts have running game. They have a scheme. They have good zone blocking. So if they can't throw the ball, they're still going to run the ball. They're still going to control the clock, and they're not going to be too far out of games. And so, yeah, I like the Colts in that game a lot. There's really no reason they shouldn't win that game. You're probably starting Michael Pittman. You're starting Jonathan Taylor. T.Y. Hilton's back. I don't know. Do you guys see him as a possible starting option?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's definitely a pickup if you have room option for sure. I just don't have room. There's a lot of leagues where things are getting kind of crowded back there because in the depth chart, because now like players are coming back from injuries. You got to pick up, and there's these handcuffs. After watching all these running backs go down, more people are prone to, just the fear factor. You're picking up your handcuffs, and there's just very not much room left to pick up players like T.Y. Hilton. But if you have room, yeah, that's definitely a guy. He's got a good rep. He's got a good repertoire. He's got a good history. He's got a good resume. These are players you should probably have on your roster if there's room.
Yeah. And then for the Jags, you're only probably starting James Robinson. There's really no other viable.
Yeah, as of now, that I don't know why it's not for sure yet. It's still questionable, which scares me a little bit, being a James Robinson owner, because I don't know if they're going to give Hyde half the carries or what. But
this might be a fun teaser play to bring down 10 points and then put on the Colts and pick some other teams with that as well. Maybe
I had already made a teaser with the Colts down.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the big teaser. Yeah, where you getting 10 points. Again, at home, basically you're getting them in a spot where they just have to win. That's a really
right. Maybe Tampa Bay with
that was the other team.
Is that what it was? Talk
about that. Yeah, no, I had already kind of taken a look at that earlier, but they're in a good spot. The next game on the board is the Browns. Browns are 2.5-point dogs traveling to take on the Patriots. So Patriots are 5-4, Browns are 5-4. Patriots are 2.5-point favorites here at home, over under 45. We talked about the running back situation for the Browns. It looks like it's going to be Dearness Johnson. We don't know about Felton's situation, but Dearness Johnson's going to be the back. And then, we know about the Patriots and their running back questionable situations. To show you had mentioned that. So are the Browns not getting enough love here being 2.5-point dogs, or do you guys think the Patriots are rightly favored at home?
I think the Patriots are rightly favored at home, actually, but that it's hard to pick one team or the other in this game, because the Browns defense, Patriots offense, Mac Jones doesn't turn the ball over. Browns defense is very good, and they could cause Mac Jones to turn the ball over. So I think this is a very good matchup for both of those teams. They're both 5-4. They have, they definitely need to prove themselves, and Patriots don't get as much love as they should. Neither do the Browns because of how they've been performing, especially that record 5-4. You expect better from a team that you thought would potentially be Super Bowl contenders, right? So I think that this is a very even game, 2.5 favored because Patriots are at home. It just makes sense to me, and I'm having a tough time picking one way or the other. I'm going to lean Patriots, just because the Patriots also have a pretty good defense, and they don't turn the ball over is the reason why I'm picking Patriots.
Okay. A lot of that is absolutely dead on. Patriots are very average. They're an average team. They're 15th on offense, 17th on defense, 13th in passing, 15th in rushing. That's about the definition of average as you can make it. The Browns are very above average in many categories. They're sixth in offense, seventh in defense, number one in rushing. Their passing is what kind of brings them down to earth. They're 21st at that. So, looking at this scenario just from their strengths and weaknesses, if the Patriots are able to limit the rushing attack, which I feel like Bill Belichick at home does a pretty good job of. They're also 7-2 against the Browns since the Bill Belichick era, so he's got a pretty good grasp of how they are. But they've also been trashed in the past, so it was easy to rack up those wins. But yeah, I think at home it's hard to go against, whenever there's a close game and you're talking about the Patriots at home being that close game, it's hard to go against that, right? I want to see the numbers on that, like close games versus wins and losses for the Patriots. I feel like the Patriots are benefactors of a lot of those games. This year they started off weird at home, but I think that was an outlier. I think they'll get back to their winning ways with this game. But there is one thing that could change how that plays out. If the Browns are able to have a throwing attack of some sort, they can win this game very easily because that is their weakest link, and that's what's holding them back. That's what's letting them not score all those points that they could be scoring with this great defense and this great offensive line. This could be the best offensive line in football. So if they can just do what they're not able to do, they will win this game. But if the Patriots are able to not let that happen, if they're able to shut down their passing and just force someone to running and keep it a close game, I feel like the Patriots will win the game.
Yeah. So my biggest 2 cents on this game is they play similar style football. They're run first teams that the pass complements the run, and they play good defense. The biggest difference for me is I think this is going to be a situation where if the Patriots win, it's going to be Mac Jones. Mac Jones is going to have to win this game. And the reason why is the Browns are only giving up 84 yards a game on the ground. And so if they look to load up the run defense, and we already know the issues with injuries for Harrison Stevenson, and if they have to have a backup, then this can be a game where Mac Jones is going to have to beat you. And I don't know why. I really kind of think the Browns have a bounce back game here. I don't think we've seen from them that no matter the running back, they can clearly run the ball. So I don't think Dearness Johnson's going to have too much of an issue running the ball, and they're fully capable of running the play action pass. So the pressure is going to be on the rookie quarterback, and that's where I think I'm going to actually lean the Browns as the dogs, 2.5-point dogs there. I almost think the Browns are going to come away victorious in that game. So I don't know. Yeah, it should be interesting. Again, both teams 5-4. So I don't know. Neither team wants to probably drop to 500. Patriots are 1-4 at home this year too. That's another really weird stat where you typically don't expect from a Bill Belichick offense or team. But the next game on the board is the Bills. We talked about them a little bit. They get another easy test, or so-called easy, where last week we thought it was going to be easy, but they're at the Jets this week. Maybe that should be easier. Never know with Mike White playing. The Bills are getting 12.5 points, so they're 12.5-point favorites coming in at 5-3. The Jets are 2-6. Over-under's 48. Like I mentioned, Mike White's back. So are the Jets to be feared? Are we laying some money line points down on the Jets?
It wouldn't be the dumbest idea, because I want the Bills to lose so badly. I want them to just be exposed out of their minds and just have a reality check from their last game, losing that last game. And out of all the shitty teams we talk about, I feel like the Jets are the best shitty team, right? Is there a better shitty team than the Jets? Probably not.
Texans are worst. Dolphins.
Yeah, Texans are worst. Lions, just no. We've given them so many opportunities. They're just breaking their own hearts at this point. But yeah, I mean, the Jets, they're a whole different team with Mike White so far. Sample size 1.25 games, right? We didn't even get a whole first quarter the second time around. But we see some good things we like from them, and the Bills are beatable. Clearly, they're beatable. They're not this unstoppable team that I had imagined in my head. So let's see if they can. I feel like the Jets are going to put up points. And let's just see if the Bills can have another emphasis game as they're supposed to. Like you said, they're 12.5-point favorites. Yeah. Damn. I'm a little scared. Yeah, I'm a little scared. I have the Bills defense, so I hope they do well. But I don't know, man. The Bills are throwing up a lot of red flags left and right now, and I want them to either get embarrassed so they can have some sort of like baptism kind of moment and just start over fresh. Yeah, or I want them to start off with emphasis. This can't be a close game for their own liking, for their own like odds of getting to the Super Bowl. This can't be a close game.
Shelby, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm not betting on this game, but if I had to lean one way, I would definitely lean plus 12.5 in favor of Jets. Basically because Mike White can score the ball. And you're right, sample size of game and a half, but still we've seen signs of accuracy. He's able to throw the ball. He gets it to Elijah Moore. Ty Johnson has looked good when he is there. So I like the Jets' chances to at least cover the spread. Now, I also expect the Bills to bounce back. I think that last game with the Jaguars, I mean, that was just like you said it last week, right? It's just one of those games you need to forget about, start fresh, and then get back to what you do best. And that could mean involve Singletary, involve Zach Moss, so that you can establish that offense with Stephon Diggs and company, right? So I expect the Bills to bounce back here. I would take the Bills to win the game. That spread of 12.5 just seems way too high.
Something of note, I didn't mention the injury report. Zach Moss may not play this game. So I picked up Singletary. He was available in one of my leagues, and I'm waiting till the last moment to see if Zach Moss is out. If he is out, I am going to start Singletary. I might have to bench one of my this is my conundrum. I would have to bench Robinson, who's coming off an injury, and I don't know if he's going to share the ball or whatnot. So I might just unload Singletary because the Jets have the worst run defense, right? Am I correct with that? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they're allowing 133 yards per game on the ground.
Yeah, and they don't run the ball well. They allow a lot of yards on the ground. I think Singletary, if no Zach Moss, is a pretty confident RB2 start. So yeah, I expect them to use Singletary.
I've just seen Singletary in the past being an RB1 kind of running back on the Bills team and just not producing. So I've got some PTSD when it comes to that, but maybe things have changed this year and you can get that.
I mean, what better opportunity than playing against the worst team, right?
So Jets. Yep. I get that.
Yeah, a good bounce back spot for the Bills. Hopefully not another letdown spot. I mean, 2 letdown spots with the Jags and Jets. That's definitely a big red flag for the Bills if they can't pull away here. The next game on the board is the last team that has yet to win a game. The Lions are traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Show it. Steelers are getting 8 points or 8-point favorites. Over under is 43. The winless Lions are coming off a bye. You think they game planned around the bye to try to get their first victory here, or the Steelers going to be too much?
Dude, I am scared. I am nervous as a Steelers fan. I mean, but see, the thing is, we're playing against one of the worst defenses in the NFL. 31st when it comes to points allowed with 30.5 points per game. They're just a terrible team. But I could see somehow, some way, our offense just doesn't do what it needs to do. It doesn't flow for whatever reason, and then we, basically allow the game to kind of go out of hand. Something to note of the Steelers team as a team, our defense has guys like TJ Watt, has Cam Hayward, Highsmith, and Minkah Fitzpatrick, but we allow a lot of running yards, 4.5 yards per carry, 109.8 yards on the run per game. So, and we allow 244 passing yards to Justin Fields last week. So like we're allowing a lot of yards, but we make big plays that kind of lets us win the game. But as a whole, when you look at the Steelers defense, it's not as explosive as it was maybe last year.
They're not just like straight stopping guys from getting yards. They're like a bend don't break defense that's taken advantage of costly turnovers, costly sacks. But yeah, people are moving the ball on them. I own the Steelers fantasy. Their defense is as my fantasy defense, and yeah, that's a big thing I've noticed is people can move the ball on the Steelers.
Right. So with that being said, we've seen when our offense, like Ben Roethlisberger, just doesn't connect with the receivers, and we can only use Najee Harris for so many options before Najee Harris only gets you like 2.9 yards per carry and doesn't get you a first down, which is what his numbers were last week. But he got that touchdown, so it was all okay. Ben Roethlisberger connected with his receivers, it was okay. But Lions have a legitimate chance to potentially win this game. I'm nervous. It's this big spread of 8 points. I'm going for Steelers. I think that they'll win, but that 8 points is still looking tough for me. So I'm not betting on them, but we've got a lot of work cut out for against us.
Yeah, I mean, again, you don't want to be the team that is giving the team hasn't won their first victory. Obviously, that's shitty. You're at home. You're 5-3. After starting off kind of rocky, you bounce back and they figured out ways to win games. But you're right, no Claypool, right? So it's Deontay Johnson. Maybe James Washington gets a little bit of a run. So it's going to be maybe Najee heavy. And The thing to remember is the Lions, they're only giving up. I mean, they're giving up 134 yards on the ground. So the Steelers could literally probably get away with running the ball the entire game. But if that doesn't work, again, when you're 0-8, it's like nothing is out of question, right? So the Lions can come in here and just run like the Statue of Liberty, fumble Ruski, and you're just like, oh shit, well, they're 0-8, they can do that. And that can be the reason they come away with the random victory. So you obviously never want to be the team that forfeits the victory to the Lions, but I know it's definitely nerve-wracking being on the other side because you don't want to be the team that gives them their first win. But with that being said, I mean, James Washington, again, I don't know if he's a valuable starter just because Claypool hasn't been as the number 2 receiver there. Freiermuth, you've already mentioned him. We've talked about him a couple weeks now. Obviously, Najee Harris and Deontay Johnson. On the other side, you're looking at Hawkinson, Swift. You talked about Williams. Jared Goff's probably not viable to start. I don't know, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm nervous for you. I don't know. I got a weird Lions feeling.
I also have a weird feeling about this game, only because the Steelers haven't really impressed us, especially the last 4 games. They've all been like really iffy wins, close wins, and the Lions like to stay in those kind of games. So you can't let that happen. You can't let the Lions stay in those games because they're bound to win one of those, and you don't want that to be you. But I am a little nervous. I'm a little nervous for the Steelers for this game. Yeah, I will be up there. Is this in Detroit?
It's in Pittsburgh.
Oh dang! I immediately thought, should I get a ticket right now?
Wow. But yeah, so that's going to be in Pittsburgh. Obviously at home, want to take care of business. The next game, the Buccaneers are traveling to Washington to take on the football team. Buccaneers are favored by 9.5 points, over under 51. Both teams are coming off a bye. Buccaneers coming off that loss to the Saints. We talked about the receiving corps is kind of beaten up now. Antonio Brown's out. Godwin's questionable. I don't know. The Washington defense is really fucking bad though. So is it really going to matter?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of Fournette this game. What else is new? But yeah, if they're smart, they would hurry up and just try to rack up points using Fournette, so they don't have to really like dig deep into their wide receiver core. Mike Evans is gonna have a good day. I don't see how he couldn't. This is probably like the best Mike Evans situation of the year so far. So I expect him to be fully used. There's really no threat on the Washington defense besides a little bit of pass rush, which, having the best offensive line in football, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can handle that very well. And they shouldn't have to, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense should be pretty fresh all game long, because, the running the ball, if the Buccaneers run the ball well, they'll eat up all the clock. And the Buccaneers defense is good enough to hold these weak ass people like Antonio Gibson to just a couple of plays before they're off the field. So I feel like with the Buccaneers having a fresh defense and the offense just churning down the clock, running the ball and just having to throw very little, I feel like, Tom Brady will have like a 200-something yard game and maybe 3-4 touchdowns. And Fournette might have close to 150 yards. So I expect that type of game, and I expect them to win. But yeah, I mean, it seems a little too predictable. So I'm sure something's going to go like wrong, like a turnover on defense or something like that. But this is about as predictable as it gets. I don't understand what other outcomes there could be.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing is like Tom Brady's had 2 weeks to kind of prepare for this game. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, they've had 2 weeks. Both teams are coming off a bye, but I mean, this is a Super Bowl caliber type of team. I mean, we've seen Buccaneers do Buccaneer things all year. They're coming off of a loss against the Saints. So even more kind of fuel to add to get a win and really hone down and get, they can't lose back-to-back games, So I think that the Buccaneers should be able to win this game. At least, I don't know about the 9.5 spread, but we talked about teaser options for Buccaneers, and so I like my options as far as teaser goes with this team.
If you tease them down just to have to win outright, I mean, if they lose, then they suck, because that's a pretty good spot against a football team. Hopefully Mike Evans has a big day. I'm planning on Chauvin, and I'm starting Mike Evans. So the other thing that's questionable is Terry McLaurin. I mean, I'm not starting Terry McLaurin for this football team, and we expect they're going to have to throw. Tampa Bay doesn't give up a lot of rushing yards. I mean, they're giving up 78 yards on the ground a game. They're going to be losing a lot. Their secondary is kind of beaten up. Like, garbage points for Terry McLaurin. Does that make him a viable starter?
I mean,
I think
if
you have so many options on your team that maybe you could get away with not starting Terry McLaurin, because you've got The
Mike Evans
Seahawks.
and DK Metcalf will probably be the
DK
must starts.
Right.
And if you can fit somebody else in the flex, then you don't have to start McLaurin. But I think I would start McLaurin because it's a negative game script. They're going to be down all game long. You basically are going to start. They're basically going to be throwing for 3.5 quarters, and that's something to look forward to. I mean, I like to roll my dice. I would like to roll my dice with that situation versus like a mediocre running back in your flex. So yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm excited about it, but I do like that. I just like knowing that this is gonna be a negative game script. It will be in Terry McLaurin's favor. It's just about is he gonna get the targets?
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. But yeah, I expect the Bucs to take that game. I mean, again, Washington. The only thing is we're starting to see some of these teams where we had some expectations of, their defense or the type of team they could be, with the Titans early on sucking and then like coming back to life. The Dolphins a couple of weeks were like this last game and then the game before that where their defense actually looks like relevant, and we knew the Dolphins defense shouldn't have been bad coming into the season. So I'm curious if Washington in the bye at least tried something different where we're like, we're not going to fucking come out with the same shitty defense.
Maybe next game.
Yeah, I mean, it is Tom Brady, so it's tough, but I don't know. Anything can happen. It's the NFL, but I expect the Buccaneers to win. The next game on the board is the Carolina Panthers, with the new signing of Cam Newton, although I don't think he'll play this week. They are traveling to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. The Cardinals are 8-1. Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins are favored by 10.5 points because they're expected to play. Over-unders 44. Panthers, obviously they got CMC back. There's news of Cam Newton resigning. That's got to be exciting for them, even though, he's not what he once was. But as a fan of the Panthers, I'm sure even if your team is where they're at right now, you'd much rather see Cam Newton as your quarterback than Sam Darnold or PJ Walker. So gives them something to look forward to the rest of the season. But does that actually equate to them having better shot to win football games?
What equate? Sorry, I didn't hear the
Cam
question.
Newton.
Oh, I don't think it changes much. What do you think, Shovit?
I think it does. I think it's because their defense is still pretty good now that they have
their defense is still second.
Yeah, and you have Stephon Gilmore and company. So I think that if you have a better quarterback than Sam Darnold, then you can definitely kind of have a little bit more consistency and have a chance to win the game. Walker is not the guy, and Sam Darnold is not the guy.
Okay. One thing of note is the Panthers have scored 1 touchdown in their last 12 quarters. So, I mean, anybody that can throw the ball into the end zone is a better option than what we've seen so far. And on the other side, even if Kyler Murray doesn't end up playing, he still threw for over 100 passer rating. I mean, looks like this team is just built to win right at this point. They're just a really good team overall. It doesn't matter if you lose this piece, that piece. They've got to figure it out. So I think I expect the Cardinals to win this game now, even without Murray. We'll see. They haven't faced a number 2 or a number 1 defense as of so far. They play the Packers, which has a pretty good defense, but they're not 1 or 2. And now they're facing a number 2 ranked Panthers defense. And if Hopkins is not playing, Stephon Gilmore is going to be on their other best player. So now they're immediately, down to very few players. And I don't think Connor is going to be running like he did last week. So that could change a lot. And I think that is going to be what the Panthers are going to be focused on, just shutting down the pass and kind of forcing them to see what Connor can do this week. And I don't expect him to get 40 points again. At the best, he'll probably roll into the end zone one time. But it'll be a close game. I still think the Cardinals will win, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than people expect.
10.5 is what Vegas has it as.
Yeah. Oh, that's with Kyler Murray playing, right?
Yeah, that's what they have it as now.
Okay.
Yeah, NFC South matchup. I mean, the Panthers, if they just focus on stopping Kyler Murray, the Arizona's Cardinals defense, run defense isn't that good. So Christian McCaffrey could have a good, solid game. Panthers control the clock, keep the game a little bit competitive, and maybe keep it competitive and keep it close. That's what I can expect from the Panthers. Outside of that, Cardinals should be able to win this game.
So you mentioned James Conner. Would you start James Conner as your flex, or would you start Terry McLaurin as your flex, or would you start Mike Williams as your flex?
I don't. Fuck. Mike Williams has let me down I don't have Mike Williams, but I've seen what he's done, and it kind of reminded me of the old Mike Williams and why things were the way they were. I think out of those 3, any of them could have a good week, but I think the safest floor is Connor. I mean, he has a great opportunity. There is the Eno guy. I don't know that he's a huge person to keep track of, because if they use him like Chase Edmonds was used, and he could just be a starter on your fantasy lineup just like that. So it all depends on that. But as of right now, if Connor's usage is what I'm expecting to be, like RB1 usage, then I'm starting Connor. I mean, I will start an RB1 over any wide receiver that you can even think of. So yeah, out of those guys, I would probably start Connor. But I don't know. I don't know the situation with this Eno guy. I'm a little wary. I don't know how they're going to use him.
Yeah, he's shown flashes of being like an Edmonds
Yeah.
type, catchable, quick and fast, elusive. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not definitely a shoe-in, but I also like the fact that you're getting the volume of an RB1, hopefully. And Connor's been weird. Like Connor, since week 3, has been giving double-digit fantasy points, except week 6 where he had 7.6 every single week. And it's not just 10. It's like 17.8, 19.6,
Yeah.
12.4, 14.2.
Yeah, he's rolling in the end zone, dude. He's a league leader in touchdowns, and that's a direct correlation with the touchdowns. And it's been nice to just get those touchdowns, but touchdowns are never the way you should, project your week to go. You should never expect the touchdown. You should always want a good amount of targets and yards and rushes, and then hopefully the touchdowns just make things better. But if you're expecting the touchdowns, then like you can be really, really like heartbroken if that's the. But hey, Mike Williams, he does play the Vikings, so I mean,
yeah, that's why I asked. It's the Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I mean, anybody can catch on the Vikings. So, and we don't even know if Harrison Smith will be back. I mean,
yeah, our secondary is Brashard Breeland's questionable. We'll jump into that game. That's actually the next game on the board. So, might as well jump into it. The Vikings are at the Chargers. Vikings are 3-5. Chargers are 5-3. Chargers are favored by 3 points at home, so they're just getting home field advantage. Over under 54. We know about the Chargers offense. We know about their lack of defense, especially in the running game. And the Vikings love to fucking run the ball. So
yeah, here's some fun facts. The Chargers have the worst run defense. But here's a weird thing that doesn't make sense. They allow the least amount of explosive plays in the league. They've only allowed 7 plays over 20 yards. So they do a good job. That's why they suck at run stopping, is because they just don't allow big plays, right?
Yeah, they just keep letting you run, but they just don't want you to throw over the top.
Exactly. You mentioned bend don't break defense. This is the prime example of that. They're okay with people getting those yards because they trust their offense, and that's what's led them to be 5-3. Some games that doesn't work out because the offense sometimes just shits the bed, but the defense is the same defense every week. They'll allow you to run the ball. This is a huge Dalvin Cook day. I expect a lot of Dalvin Cook, and I expect the Chargers receivers to have a good day too. But all that being said, the Vikings are going to be without Anthony Barr again, without Smith, without Peterson. Peterson might be coming back soon.
Pierce, no Barr. Yeah.
No Pierce, no Barr. Those are all the top names on the defense, and they're all out. And no Daniel Hunter. Yep. We're basically back to backups. This is like a preseason defense, and the Chargers are going to exploit the hell out of that. I expect a high-scoring game, just like any other Vikings game. Is going to be a high-scoring game. Offense is going to put up points. Defense is going to allow points. But the game script's going to be a lot of Dalvin Cook. You can basically book that.
Sounds like you guys have a bunch of Keanus that are playing right now.
Oh, dude, I wish, but this is like Matrix 4. Like this isn't even Matrix first Keanu. These are just like
this is the replacements.
The replacements. Yeah, there you go.
A bunch of replacements playing because you guys are out. So you mentioned that the run defense for the Chargers is pretty bad. However, the run defense for the Vikings is also pretty bad, allowing 4.8 yards per carry, 136.6 yards per game to the running backs. So Austin Eckler should also have a pretty strong game. So last game, the Chargers kind of looked like they figured out their offense. They looked good against I want to say it was the Eagles last week. So I'm expecting sort of a bounce back against a depleted Vikings defense. So Chargers, I'm going to take the Chargers here on this game due to the injuries. We've seen what the offense has done, and I'm expecting the offense to have the same type of game this week as well.
Yeah, just too many injuries on the Vikings side. I'd be shocked if the Chargers don't put up 30. Like, I just don't know how they won't. It'd have to be the Chargers' own ineptitude, like what they did against like the Ravens or some shit like that. That would be the reason. The Vikings are giving up 61.7 points a game. Or they're combined. Sorry, they're combining 61.7 points a game total when they're on the road this year, right? So games on the road for them have not gone well from the defensive side of things. They're putting up points, but they're also allowing points. So over under 54, the over looks pretty good on that. Otherwise, yeah, the Chargers, you're basically getting them at -3 at home, and the Vikings have too many. We've already talked about the strength of the Vikings is their offense, and their defense is getting worse than what it already was. And so we don't even lean heavily on the offense when our defense is respectable. So how are we going to lean heavily on our offense when our defense is a bunch of backups? And if it looks anything like it did in preseason, we are in for rude awakening.
The best case scenario for the Vikings is like a 34-30 win. That's the best case scenario. And, and that's if everything goes perfectly on offense, which, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But what I do know is this is not a 3-6 team. We're just not like every single game is a 1-score game, and every single game could be anybody's game. The record does not show how well we actually play football, but the way the way everything is depleted now and the way everything looks sad on defense, I have little to no expectations of winning this game, even though we should.
Yeah, I'm expecting us to lose, and then I'm also expecting Dalvin Cook to have like 40 against me because Shobit has him. It's just going to be the nature of the beast this week.
Yeah, he'll get over 25 touches for sure.
Yeah. So next game on the board is the Eagles. The Eagles are traveling to Denver to take on the Broncos. Eagles are 3-6. Denver's coming in 5-4 after that impressive victory against the Cowboys. Denver's favored at home by 1.5 points, over under 46. The Broncos, again, riding high after a pretty impressive victory. The Eagles are 3-6. They're in that division with the Cowboys, so they're probably looking to get another victory. But I kind of see the Eagles as a little bit undervalued here. 1.5 point dogs. I know there's not been a lot to like with Philadelphia, but offensively, their numbers are a lot better than the Broncos. We just know that the Broncos defense is pretty good. So I don't know. What do you guys see happening and how this game unfolds?
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that the Eagles haven't beaten a team that has a winning record so far. So the 3 wins they've gotten are against pretty shitty teams. The only good thing going for the Eagles is they don't have an identity, and that could go in their favor in this game because, now people are expecting a run-heavy approach. And the Broncos are actually beatable on the run. I think they allow like 4-point-something yards per rush. So they might start doing that, but I think starting the game off with a run-heavy approach and then hitting him with the play action with Devontae Smith going deep and whatnot, I think we're going to see the most complete games the Eagles have played so far. And I think this could very well end up being the first win the Eagles have had with against a good opponent. And as well as the Broncos played last week, I want to see them win this game with emphasis before I start removing them from the fake news category, because losing to a 3-6 team at home is the definition of fake news. And I pray to God the Broncos can not do that.
Yeah, the Eagles have actually been better on the road this year than at home. They're 3-2. They have a 3-2 record away and an 0-4 record at home. Okay, they have had 16 sacks on the road. Their defense is at 16 sacks, whereas only 1 sack at home, which is kind of weird.
That goes along with what I said earlier. The 3 wins that they have, the road wins, they're against shitty teams. So like that's why they're getting to the quarterback easily. Mm-hmm. And then the games at home, they're playing against teams that have a winning record. So I think that goes hand in hand. That aligns well with that stat.
Yeah, and then on the Broncos side, Bridgewater is also the 3rd most accurate passer right now. He's at 70.2, and then the Eagles have allowed 7 quarterbacks to have a passing rating higher than that 70.2% rate. Completion rate, right? So could be another big game for Bridgewater. But talking about his completion rate and talking about the sacks that the Eagles have forced, so that's what they need to do. They need to get to Bridgewater, sack him, make sure that he's not as accurate as he's proven to be, and that sort of should be the recipe for the game. On offense, I'm not sure what they'll do. I don't know if I'm thinking that they will run the ball more like they have, give the ball to Howard, trying to establish that run game so that Jalen Hurts can give you he can establish some passing with Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, and guys like that. But another thing to note here is the Broncos were -3. The spread was -3. It's kind of gone down to -1.5 now. So it almost feels like it's baity. Like you're like
They're like, come on.
Put it on the Broncos. It's only 1.5, but like
come
that's a side, like kind of something to look at and maybe lean in favor of the Eagles, because it seems like almost a trap to put the money on Broncos right now.
Yeah, if I'm betting, I'm taking the plus money dogs as the Eagles. I just think this is a good spot for them. Again, the Broncos are 5-4, but they're a loss away from being 500 again. So it wouldn't be the most earth-shattering victory for the Eagles. Granted, the Broncos beat the Cowboys, but it's the NFL week to week, right? So we don't know what Broncos team we're going to get, but yeah, I actually like.
You mentioned the Eagles need to get to the quarterback. Eagles haven't had a sack in 3 of their last 4 games. Like they haven't even registered a sack in 3 out of the last 4 games. So that may not happen. But like you said, it's the NFL, anything goes. And I think this is a good recipe. If anything, the Eagles are licking their chops for this game because everything seems to be coming together. I think we will finally see their full potential of what they can do. So I'm excited. I don't know who's going to win this game, but it's going to be a good game regardless.
Yeah. Taking us into the next matchup, that could be the marquee matchup because of the news that both quarterbacks are listed to play. The Seahawks are going to be at the Packers here. Packers are 7-2, Seattle struggling 3-5, but obviously Russell Wilson is expected to be back. Aaron Rodgers looks like he's going to play. So both quarterbacks looking to be back. Packers are favored by 3.5 points, over under 49. Big news of Russell Wilson coming back. That makes the Seahawks just infinitely that much more exciting to watch. They go from like, I hate watching them, want to blow my brains out, to holy shit, Russell Wilson's back. And so this should be a great game. Both quarterbacks are back playing. Both offenses, coming into the season, were probably perennial playoff teams, Super Bowl aspirations. What are you guys liking?
Real quick, every home team has won that has faced each other since 2010. So over the last decade, they played against each other a lot, and the home team has won every single game. And one thing of note is currently at this moment, the Seahawks have the worst offense in football. They're 32nd on offense. It doesn't make sense, right? But right, like you said, it's infinitely going to change now. As soon as Russell Wilson's there, they could easily be in the top 5. Yep. So they get a huge dynamic leader back, and things are just going to look up for the Seahawks. I'm sure Russell Wilson's licking his fingers trying to get that ball in the end zone, and I think we'll see a lot of that. I think he's a good guy to have on your team. He also has a really easy schedule moving forward. The Seahawks do. And Russell Wilson has a good fantasy schedule moving forward as well. So a lot of points coming that way from the Seahawks offense.
It blows my mind that you're telling me a guy that can't close his hands that is going to go is going to play, because I've had an injury, I've had nerve damage, and I've had to go to therapy, and I couldn't close my hands as well. I was like, I couldn't do anything. And the fact that this guy is going to go out there and throw a football.
Yeah, the thing is, like, when you have an injury higher up in your hand, it affects many parts of the lower hand, right? His injury is so limited to just one finger that all of these other fingers are still fully doable, right? And if this finger can get 75% of motion back and you're Russell Wilson, it's as if there is no injury,
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, no, this game, it should be a close game. I'm going to lean in the Packers' favor because I'm sure Aaron Rodgers, there was all this like controversy in the beginning of the year, and it's like the quarterback issue. And then we saw Jordan Love play, and then Aaron Rodgers probably sitting in his home like, all right, this is what you guys wanted. And now he's going to go in there, play lights out. And so I expect the Packers at Lambeau Field to win this game. Should be a close game because even though the Seahawks, you mentioned, is 32nd offense, that's partly due to the fact that Geno Smith has been there and Russell Wilson hasn't been.
It's mainly all due to that, but
So I think that once Russell Wilson's back, the offense will be back to what we're expecting from them, what they were in the beginning of the season, with big throws to Tyler Lockett. And then DK Metcalf also part of that game plan as well.
And don't forget about the different defenses. Like Packers actually have a good defense versus the Seahawks. They don't just have one of the worst offenses; they have one of the worst defenses too. I think they're 23rd or 24th or something like that. Aaron Rodgers against the 24th ranked defense. Are you freaking kidding me? Like the Seahawks are gonna have to put up points to keep up this game.
Yeah, they're gonna be in throwing mode. That's exactly kind of how I see it. Is the difference is going to be the defense. The Seahawks have nothing in terms of a defense, and the Packers have a really good defense. So the Seahawks are going to have to play above their competition if they're going to want to stay relevant and keep this game close. And they need a win. They're 3-5. Russell Wilson, time's kind of running out for the team. Packers are 7-2, so it's kind of more of a must-win game for the Seahawks. So nonetheless, the game gets so much more exciting knowing that it's not going to be Geno Smith and Jordan Love, but it's going to be Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. So should be a great game to watch. In the late game slate kicks us into Sunday night. The Chiefs are traveling to Vegas to take on the Raiders. Chiefs are 5-4. Raiders are 5-3. Chiefs are 2.5-point favorites on the road. Over under 52. This can be a good game. Sunday Night Football. What are you guys seeing? The Chiefs actually getting points on the road when they suck at covering games.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough matchup for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. The Chiefs have a fairly solid defense, and they're able to, go and sack the quarterback. And Patrick Mahomes, the Raiders have a solid defense, and they're able to, rush the quarterback, sack. And Patrick Mahomes, when he's hurried, when he's pressured, has made some stupid mistakes. Just take the sack, don't throw the ball. And he's tried to make that extra throw to get a completion. So it's going to be tough game for the Chiefs. It's a AFC West showdown, 5-4 versus 5-3. So it's going to be tough. I think I'm going to go on the side and say that the Raiders actually come out on top in this game. I think they have a solid offense. I believe Deshaun Jackson should be in this game as well. Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs. I mean, these guys should be able to beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, in the beginning of the season, I would have literally just got up and just laughed at you. But now it's very, very much a possibility. Let me give you some reasons why. So the Kansas City Chiefs have scored 20 points or fewer in 3 straight games, which is the first time they've done that. The Raiders have pressured quarterbacks on 35.9% of dropbacks when not blitzing this season, which is the highest rate in the NFL. Okay, they're forcing pressures on plays that are not designed to force pressures, which is crazy, and they lead the league in doing that. The Chiefs, however, they do own that division. The Chiefs have won 10 straight road games versus AFC West. But like what we watched so far, this is not the same Chiefs team we've seen before. They've had some defense back then. They have no defense now. And the Raiders have also allowed 184.3 yards per game since week 3, which is also the least in the NFL. And I don't know how they're doing that because they're down a lot of cornerbacks. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're playing solid defense.
Yeah, that's going to be the difference because on paper, the Raiders offense should have no problems against this Chiefs defense.
Yeah,
like
I don't see
the
how
Raiders have enough weapons. Again, it's the weird thing with Derek Carr. It's the weird thing with the Raiders. Sometimes I feel like they just kind of get in their own way because, again, you have Hunter Renfrow, you got Deshaun Jackson, you have Darren Waller, you have Brian Edwards, you have Josh Jacobs, you have Kenyon Drake. You have enough weapons on offense where the Chiefs defense has shown their inability to stop anybody. So if the Raiders can control this game and just play mistake free, and then you put the pressure right back on the Chiefs, right back on Mahomes to have to make plays. And like you said, if they're generating pressure with no blitz, that's leaving 7-6 guys to cover. And the Chiefs are already having trouble getting guys open. So if Max Crosby's running down Mahomes' throat for the entire game, then the Chiefs are going to be in trouble. So on the road, getting 2.5 points, tough place to play so far this year in Vegas. Give me the home dogs all day long. I mean, you're getting a home team as the dog. I'm going to take the Raiders money line, actually.
Yeah, I just want to say that I think that Las Vegas is a terrible place for a football team. You just can't do that. You're gonna have like these drunk driving situations. I think their cornerback also got it in some sort of off-field issues as well.
Gun stuff.
Yeah, he pointed a gun. That had nothing to do with that, but yeah.
Well, I mean, pointing a gun, and then now he's not on the team, or he's suspended, something along those lines, right?
But he just like had a gun on like some video, and he was like literally just.
It was a threat. I think he was just doing some rap video stuff with a gun, and then the NFL took it as a threat to somebody, and then they kicked him out.
I see. You're saying it's not because they're in Las Vegas that he's doing that. It's just
I don't think that's anything to do with them being in
That guy's just stupid. Yeah, but yeah, you're right though. I just don't think any teams, not just football, but no professional sports should be in Las Vegas. It's like it goes against like the principle of all kinds of things. But yeah, that's I digress. That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, unless you're Bill Belichick and you can like control your team like Bill Belichick can, I think no one else should be able to have a team in Las Vegas. This is my 2 cents.
Yeah, I mean, I think about it from a perspective of not that like you can't get your team ready to play because every city and every part of this world has bars that you can get drunk at and do dumb shit, right? There's no shortage of dumb shit you can do in Wyoming or Idaho. It doesn't matter where you're at. But
maybe Idaho, maybe there might not be too many dumb things in Idaho.
But I will agree that you're not going to get the same level of passionate fan base week in and week out with a place like Vegas because people are probably too busy doing other shit in Vegas versus rooting for your fans. So it's nice that you're getting a team that's already established with the fan base and the Oakland Raiders that already have like a really passionate Oakland fan base that they can just come right in and be fans of. I would worry more so about like turnout and money versus like the players actually doing dumb shit. Yes, you're in Vegas, you might do dumb shit, but I mean, you're there 18 weeks. At some point you grow up, right? It's not like every week and you're like, oh, I'm in Vegas, I got to do dumb shit. Like, I don't know. I think that
I know. You're in Vegas and you've got millions of dollars in your bank account. You can do whatever you want, man. Give me a Corvette. I'll go 145,000.
You can do that in, I don't know. You maybe. Yes, at the tip of your fingertips, they can literally, anything can happen. You can have people just show up at your doorstep. So I get it. I would just worry more so from having an actual fan base. Like as the Raiders team, you're like, am I getting enough of a home field turnout in my home games, or are people too busy, going to strip clubs and, hitting up all these casinos? That would be my concern having a team there. But
I feel that.
Nonetheless, that's going to be a good game. I liked it. I like the Raiders in the upset at home. That kicks us to Sunday night or Monday night. Monday night, the Rams with newly acquired Odell Beckham Jr. are traveling to San Francisco. OBJ probably not going to play.
No.
But nonetheless, he's on the roster, so there's some morale there. They're all excited. He's going to be their third receiver. When's the last time Odell Beckham Jr.?
Hold on, he's not going to practice at all this week, so that just translates to not playing. But I mean, I guess he could play, but there's a better chance of randomly Nick Chubb playing out of nowhere on Sunday than probably OBJ playing. But there is a chance.
Yeah.
So
I mean, at the end of the day, they could literally just throw him on the field as a decoy and be like, just run hitch routes. But you're OBJ, so you're going to generate some defensive interest. But nonetheless, they're taking on the 49ers, divisional game. Rams are getting 3.5 points on the road. Over-under is 49. Yeah, the Rams are high and flying. They add another piece to their crazy good offense. We've already talked about the year Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford's been having, Darrell Henderson's been a surprise, and they're only getting better. The 49ers finally getting some health back with George Kittle back last week, Brandon Ayuk sighting, Deebo Samuel obviously is there. I don't know. Are you guys expecting a close game here? 49ers seem like they're poised for a upset at home, in my opinion.
Yeah, some things pointing towards that as well. They're 0-4 at home this year. So, I mean, they're not winning games. Only Detroit has allowed more points at home than the 49ers. Wow. And then the Rams really play really good on like spotlight games on Monday night. They're 4-1 on Monday Night Football with Sean McVay. San Francisco is 1-4 in the Kyle Shanahan era. So they're two very opposite teams. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm excited to watch this game because it's just such a weird, I feel like it's going to be a weird game. I don't think it's going to play out how any of us are expecting this to play out.
Yeah, 49ers are always weird, and it's a divisional game. They're at home in a spot where they're, underdogs at home. And so I don't know. They just always, they always come to play, or they play to the level of competition. So a tough game. I just expected, like, people are probably like, oh, the Rams on paper should easily win this. They have way more talent, but the 49ers defense kind of comes to play at times. So I kind of see a closer game. I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers win at home. They just run the ball.
Yeah. The 49ers have allowed 487 yards in the last 3 games total of 487 yards, which it's not bad.
Per game,
right?
Or total?
Total.
That's awesome.
That's really good. In 3 games, they've only allowed 400 and some total yards.
Yeah. So 40. You might want to fact check me on that.
It's only 150 yards a game they're allowing total last 3 games.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then I think that the 49ers defense definitely have a strong chance. I'm not going to put money on this game because 3.5, like, in betting, you got 3 and then you have 7 like that. Those are like the key numbers. And then on primetime games, you just never know. You never know what's going to happen. Like Thursday night football, Sunday night football, Monday night football. I don't like to take the spread favoring the Rams at all. But on paper, it looks like they should win. They have all the right pieces. They have all right players to win the game, but you never know. You never know what will happen. I'm gonna side lean Rams. But you're right. Anything can happen on Monday Night Football.
I just fact checked that stat. I don't think it's accurate, but I don't know what the actual stat is, but it's fine. Because
Maybe it's
last
just
week they gave up like 400 yards or something.
maybe it's just rushing or rush defense. I believe.
Something like that. But yeah,
I'll get back to
don't
you.
know. I think the Rams defense, I mean, the Rams offense, anytime you're putting those receivers up against anybody, it's like a mismatch, right? So the recipe for the Rams is pretty much the same recipe they've had all year is Cooper Kupp gets open all the time. You know, you have Woods as a nice compliment. Henderson's been running everywhere, also catching passes. So what's the 49ers defense going to do to stop that offense? Is it going to be Matthew Stafford getting in his own way? A lot of times they lose because it's just going to be the recipe of the quarterback, just kind of, you know, Stafford being Stafford at times. But on the road, you're getting 3.5 points. Again, divisional matchup. I see some weird low scoring game where the 49ers actually might win by a field goal. So I don't know. I think it'll be an interesting spot on Monday night, but the primetime numbers are glaring. When one team is dramatically better on primetime than the other team, that sometimes says something too. So
I did just look at that, and they are the bottom feeders when it comes to the rushing yards from the last 3 games. Only the Chargers have allowed more rushing yards than the 49ers. So it was a rushing so maybe big game for Darrell Henderson.
I mean, that makes it even easier for the Rams. The Rams predominantly throwing the ball. If they know they can just run the ball, control the clock, and the run can set up the pass. I mean, Cooper Kupp already gets 10 yards of separation every throw. Just imagine if they're running first and then they build the play action off of that. I don't know. That's a tough recipe for the 49ers.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the last game. That's the last game on the board. That's going to be another pretty exciting game. Let's jump into the last segment so we can wrap things up. Survivor picks. We are on week 10 now. Week 10 Survivor picks. Shoshot, you are 7-2 through 9 weeks, jumping into week 10. Shova, you're 5-4. I am still 9-0. Have yet to lose. I don't know when that's coming. That's kind of crazy, but this week I believe I'm going first.
That's what it seems like. Yep.
So I'm going to go first. I'm going to take the Indianapolis Colts this week. They are at home against the Jaguars. I have not taken the Colts yet, so I'm going to take the Colts as my Survivor pick.
Okay. I'm just going to kind of go on a limb. I mean, I can't really move up and I can't really move down. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Vikings over the Chargers because I don't think we're a 3-6 team, and fate really just picked the team for me earlier when I was standing up. So yeah, I mean, I think we can beat the Chargers. I don't think the Chargers are very good. I just think their offense shows up sometimes, doesn't show up sometimes, and defense doesn't really show up at all against the run. And we have, on paper, one of the best running backs of all time. So I think if we just do that and somehow play a little bit of good defense, we should beat this team.
That's a very bold pick.
It's not as bold as you think, but
really,
yeah,
that's a
only a 3-point spread, so it's not really that bold. Right?
Yeah. I have to look at all the teams that I've already picked. I've already picked all the good teams. This is going to be tough. I am going to pick the Eagles.
Wow.
That's definitely bolder than my pick.
I'm going to pick the Eagles against the Broncos.
Okay.
2 picks for you guys on the road. Eagles in Denver. You're looking for them to get a win. Vikings at LA. You're looking for them to get a win. So
wait, I want to retract. Hold on a second. Hold on. I don't want to pick them.
All right. Well, we'll let you pick that back. Okay. What's your
I am actually going to pick the Steelers.
I knew you were going to take them.
Yeah.
All right. Steelers at home against Steelers at home against the Lions, team that has not won a single game. So that's probably a better pick on paper anyways. Yeah. So I got the Colts. You got the Vikings. You got the Steelers. Both of you guys taking your favorite teams. That's crazy. Let's see if it pays off for you. Shoshot's already in Minnesota with his jersey and his horns on. Okay, good. So that's Survivor picks. Anything else that we missed? That was a very long episode. I know we ran really long. Anything else?
I think we're gonna have to cut that one into 2 parts and do all that fun stuff in one part and then the regular stuff in one part.
Yeah, I like that. We'll figure that out. If you guys don't have anything else, that wraps up episode 19. Again, week 10 preview. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for all the likes, the subscriptions, the follows, the messages, the DMs. At The Only Playbook everywhere except Twitter. We're The Only Playbook. Hit us up. Appreciate all the support. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.